Knock at the Cabin is the newest film from writer-director M. Night Shyamalan, who's made great films, good films, and oh my god, what were you thinking films? This film follows a couple and their daughter when they're visited by four strangers who claim to be trying to prevent the apocalypse. And in order to prevent the apocalypse, the three family members must choose to sacrifice one of their own. Right away, I like the mystery behind the events of this film. As the viewer, you aren't entirely sure if these people are telling the truth or not. This is a situation where I think the reputation of Shyamalan as a filmmaker being known for twist endings comes in handy. Because for me, I was questioning the entire movie if we were going to get to the end and have Shyamalan pull the carpet out from under us and say that it was a twist and it wasn't real, or maybe it just was legitimately four strangers trying to prevent the apocalypse the entire time. I also thought the mystery carried with it some great themes involving echo chambers nowadays. One of the dads in the film comes out and says that the four of them must be a part of some sort of shared delusion and have tricked themselves to believe what they're saying is real. That the four of them are being genuine in their concern, but they're just wrong. Which, let's be real, we've seen this happen to an alarming degree in the real world. I like that they used that theme in this film. I thought it was well executed and it added to the mystery of it all. Like, are these people crazy? Or have they actually been seeing visions about the apocalypse? The film presents them as concerned individuals who are just trying to save humanity. We don't know as the viewer if they're lying, if they're crazy, or if everything they're saying is true. So it helps in not seeing them as all-out bad guys. You know, everyone in this film is presented to be a victim in some way, shape, or form, and I thought that was really effective. So everything with the four strangers inside the cabin I thought was great. Shyamalan's dialogue in basically any movie he's done comes across as melodramatic at times, but in this movie, it sort of worked for me, and it sort of didn't. It worked because if you were someone in this situation that truly believed that the world was gonna end, then the stakes that they're talking about in this film, where it is literally the end of the world, are legit. Even if you have a supposed second grade teacher or a nurse talking philosophically about these things, these are people that have seen or supposedly seen something that none of us have. But there were also times when the dialogue just got a little melodramatic for me. But again, in all fairness, there are characters in this film who believe that the apocalypse is happening. If there was a time to be melodramatic, it's now. However, the film comes to a screeching halt for me anytime it flashes back to the past. I get that they want to layer in stories about the family we meet to help us relate to them, but I felt like it just took all the steam away from the movie. Because the movie starts right away with that scene you see in the trailer of Batista talking to the daughter in the forest. And from there, we get some fantastic tension to kick off the movie. I mean, this movie really gets rolling with the people showing up, Batista talking to the daughter, they break into the house, and then it completely halts and we flash back to the past. I feel like the movie could have been more effective with its tension had it just been told chronologically. The backstory with the family is absolutely important, but maybe just knock that stuff out at the beginning. I think it just caused too many start, stop moments in the film. Shyamalan gets flashy with his shot composition as usual. I could tell right away in that conversation between Batista and the daughter at the beginning. Tilted angles, super duper close-ups which tended to get distracting. The elaborate shot composition worked in some moments, like that scene between Batista and the daughter whenever it's trying to bring across the looming presence of dread that's about to engulf this cabin in the woods. But I feel like those super duper close shots and some of the more flashy stuff, you can do that like once or twice in a film, but after a while it becomes a distraction. But that's just me. Maybe you guys feel differently about that. Batista plays the leader of the strangers in this film, and I thought he did a great job. He's continued to show his growth as an actor and picking very different projects to be a part of. And here he's not playing a superhero or the stereotypical muscle guy. He had a really hard job where he has to play this character as subdued but can be menacing. Batista's a big dude. Like, you're going to be intimidated by that guy no matter who you are, unless you're like Shaquille O'Neal. But he managed to get past all of that, and I didn't see him as the big muscle guy. I saw him as the leader of this group of strangers doing whatever they can to prevent the apocalypse. So for that reason, Batista, he did a really good job in the film. I do think they could have covered up some of his tattoos if they were trying to say that he was a second grade teacher, though. I'm not saying that second grade teachers can't have tattoos, alright? But for me, it's the tattoos on his knuckles where I'm like, I don't know if little Tommy should be in your class, Mr. Batista. I think we're going to transfer him. I referred to it earlier, but the dialogue here is Shyamalan dialogue, okay? He hasn't switched up his style on that front, so it's very grandiose, and sometimes people don't talk like people talk, especially the kid. And that's not on the actress. She's just reading the words on the paper, but man, there are parts where I was like, kids don't talk like this. But there were also some decisions at the beginning where I feel like the dads would be trying to get their daughter into a safe area by any means necessary, but she's like helping them and closing the windows and stuff. But this girl's like 7. Maybe at the very least have her hide underneath a bed or something. This movie's based on a book that I haven't read despite owning it. I sort of said that I would read this thing before the movie came out, but I just never got around to it, so oops. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It's not the best thriller I've ever seen, but it's an overall positive, despite some issues I had with the editing and dialogue. It's not too scary, it's interesting, and kept me guessing on what was going to happen next the entire film, which, for a thriller, that's really all you can ask for. Plus, you gotta love seeing Rupert Grint and King George get some work here. Who doesn't love those guys? Thank you so much for watching the video today. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. Everyone have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next time.